We're in New York, 2016, the World Chess Championship. Sergey Karjakin plays white, Magnus Carlsen plays black. This was one of the most intense matches between two completely opposite styles, Karjakin's rock-solid defense against Carlsen's calm and creative play. In this video, we're going to analyze this game move by move, but from Magnus Carlsen's point of view. We'll try to understand what Magnus was thinking, why he made each move, and how his decisions shaped the direction of the game. White plays pawn to e4. A classic start opening lines for both the queen and bishop. Karjakin wants a strong hold in the center. Black responds with pawn to e5. Carlsen meets control with control, mirroring White's idea, a symmetrical and balanced opening. White plays knight to f3. Developing the knight toward the center, attacking the pawn on e5, solid classical development. Black plays knight to c6. Defending the e5 pawn and developing efficiently. Both players are following textbook Spanish principles. White plays bishop to b5. Here comes the Ruy Lopez. White pins the knight on c6 and builds long-term pressure. Black pushes pawn to a6. Carlsen challenges the bishop right away. Decide your intention now. White retreats bishop to a4. Keeping the pin alive, Karjakin keeps tension rather than trade. Black plays knight to f6. Carlsen begins piece development while attacking the e4 pawn, an active, flexible approach. White castles kingside. Safety first for Karjakin. The e4 pawn is temporarily left undefended, but tactical lines protect it. Black plays bishop to e7. Carlsen calmly develops, preparing to castle and keeping things balanced. White advances pawn to d3, solidifying the center. Karjakin opts for calm, avoiding sharp open lines. Black pushes pawn to b5. Carlsen gains space on the queen side and challenges White's bishop again. White retreats bishop to b3, maintaining the diagonal toward f7, keeping pressure on a key point near Black's king. Black plays pawn to d6, reinforcing the center. Carlsen's setup now mirrors a strong classical Spanish structure. White pushes pawn to a3, a flexible move preparing to expand with c4 or to stop any. Knight to a5 ideas. Black castles kingside. Carlsen brings his king to safety. The game is still in the early feeling out stage. White plays knight to c3. Karjakin builds the center, both knights now id5 and e4. Black plays knight to a5. Carlsen goes for the bishop pair, aiming to eliminate the strong, light-squared bishop. White moves bishop to a2, keeping the bishop safe. Karjakin values that powerful diagonal. Black plays bishop to e6. Carlsen develops with activity, connecting rooks and pointing toward the center. White pushes pawn to b4. A bold expansion on the queen side, gaining space and asking Black's knight to decide. Black retreats knight to c6, avoiding exchanges. Carlsen's knight stays active and flexible. White plays knight to d5. Strong central jump. This knight dominates the board and puts immediate pressure. Black plays knight to d4. Carlsen counters with his own central domination, matching energy with energy. White jumps knight to g5. A sharp move, Karjakin sets tactical traps around f7 and opens attacking possibilities. Black captures bishop on d5. Carlsen decides to exchange tension, simplifying and reducing White's attack potential. White captures back pawn on d5, keeping the center locked and opening lines for pieces. Black plays knight to d7, back for regrouping and defense. He's preparing f5 to expand on the king side. White plays knight to e4. Central control and coordination. Karjakin's pieces radiate power. Black pushes pawn to f5. Carlsen strikes. He challenges White's knight and begins his own counterattack. White retreats knight to d2. Calm defense. Preparing to bring other pieces to assist the center. Black continues with pawn to f4. Aggressive intent, pushing space and restricting White's light squares. White plays pawn to c3. Karjakin prepares a pawn structure that limits the enemy knight. Black plays knight to f5. Carlsen centralizes all his energy, both knights point toward key squares around the king. White plays queen to e8. Wait, correction, Black plays queen to e8. Magnus brings his queen into the game, eyeing g6 and g5 maneuvers. White plays bishop to b3. Repositioning for defense and flexibility on the long diagonal, Black plays queen to g6, preparing to launch kingside pressure. Carlsen now looks for attacking chances. White plays pawn to f3, stopping. f3 from Black and securing the e4 square. Black develops bishop to h4, beautifully placed attacking the soft g3 square and creating threats. White plays pawn to a4. A counter on the queen side, he's trying to create a distraction. Black moves knight to f6. Regrouping and improving coordination. Magnus keeps flexibility for the endgame. White plays queen to e2, connecting rooks and defending the king side. Black pushes pawn to a5. Carlsen answers on the queen side. The game stretches across the whole board. White captures with pawn on a5, opening the file for rooks. Black captures back pawn with a5, maintaining structure, opening lines for tactical play. White plays bishop to d2, preparing to bring rooks into the game and potentially to c1. Black capture pawn on c3. A breakthrough! The queen side explodes open. White recaptures with bishop takes c3, advancing control but losing some central security. Black plays knight to e3. Strong fork idea attacking both bishop and rook simultaneously. White plays rook to c1, defending tactically while keeping an eye on play along the c-file. Black captures rook on a1, simplifying with force. White recaptures rook on a1, keeping balance but now under pressure. Black plays queen to e8, regrouping for a possible kingside assault again. White moves bishop to c4, eyeing the king side and trying to generate counter threats. Black plays king to h8. Carlsen calmly sidesteps any check's precise prophylaxis. White plays knight takes f6. Karjakin trades a key piece to reduce pressure. Black recaptures with bishop takes f6, keeping a strong bishop to defend and press. White plays rook to a3, looking to swing across the third rank with attacking ideas. Black pushes pawn to e4. Aggressive central push. Carlsen transforms defense into offense. White captures pawn on e4, opening the center. Black captures bishop on c3. A dazzling tactical shot. Carlsen grabs material with timing. White plays rook captures c3, attempting to stabilize, but the position is collapsing. Black plays queen to e5, centralizing the queen and preparing an unstoppable attack. White plays rook to c1, trying desperately to defend. Black plays rook to a8. Carlsen doubles threat. Pressure mounts. White pushes pawn to h3, looking for breathing room around the king. Black responds pawn to h6, a quiet yet solid waiting move. No counterplay for White. White plays king to h2, securing the back rank. Black plays queen to d4. Carlsen commands the board absolute control. White responds queen to e1, defending key squares. Black shifts queen to b2. The pressure is brutal, targeting weak pawns. White plays bishop to f1, desperately holding, but the defense is falling apart. Black finishes with rook to a2. The final tactical blow. There's no defense left. White resigns. A brilliant positional game by Magnus Carlsen. His queenside expansion, precise calculation, and calm under pressure demonstrated why he's one of the greatest of all time.